If you haven't seen the recent viral videos of a Chinese car trying to climb stairs but ending up destroying ancient Chinese architecture, you've been living under a mountain. We're talking about the glorious failure of Chery trying to be the second car maker after Land Rover to climb 999 steps to reach Heaven's Gate in China's Tianmen Mountain National Park. That cringeworthy moment is just the latest and frankly funniest skirmish in the war between Chinese and Western automotive giants. We're going to dissect the most spectacular performance fails, the most shameless copycat moments, and reveal the secret weapon that is letting new Chinese brands sneak past the Western titans while they're still arguing over V8 emissions. By the end of this video, you won't just know which cars blew up, slid off a cliff, or got sued out of existence. You'll understand why the car you buy next year, regardless of its badge, might actually be more Chinese than German. Stay tuned, because the facts will shock your inner automotive purist. Let's start with the current blood sport, the direct toe-to-toe challenge. This is where a Chinese company says, "Hey, that thing you did? We can do it cheaper." And then, a massive facepalm moment. The recent Chery Fullwin X3L fiasco is instant meme gold. Range Rover, the king of rugged luxury, conquered the 999 steps of Heaven's Gate at Tianmen Mountain back in 2018. It was a flawless execution, a marketing masterstroke. Now, in 2024, Chery comes along with its new extended range hybrid SUV and attempts the exact same insanely steep climb. The result? Pure comedy. Chery made it about 3/4 of the way up before the vehicle simply lost power, began sliding backward, and eventually crashed into and destroyed a stone guardrail. It wasn't a small slip. It was a physical, public, high-visibility catastrophe. Chery later blamed a safety rope that detached and snagged the wheel. Now, I'm not saying they're lying, but the only thing that detached more clearly than the rope was Chery's credibility. When you directly challenge a high-performance benchmark set by a company like Land Rover, you have to be flawless. Chery was anything but. It was a failure of engineering, risk assessment, and ultimately, marketing. Unfortunately, Chery isn't alone in having its marketing claims shredded by real-world physics. We head to Australia, the land where a pickup, or a ute, lives and dies by its ability to tow a mountain. Great Wall Motor launched its P-Series, or the Cannon as it's known there, claiming a respectable 3,000 kilogram towing capacity. The idea was to challenge the absolute dominance of the Ford Ranger and the Toyota Hilux. Well, the Australian media quickly put it to the test, hooking up a heavy trailer and pointing the GWM straight up a demanding hill climb. The result was not a graceful conquest. The transmission, under the stress of the advertised load, overheated almost immediately. The vehicle went into limp home mode, forcing the driver to pull over. This wasn't a stunt failure. This was a performance failure on a core vehicle function that exposed the gap between the marketing claim and the actual engineering. GWM was trying to prove it was a heavy-duty truck. But the thermal management system said nope. It was a hard, definitive loss in the court of public opinion. The good news for China is that these were probably the only two high-profile failures that went viral online. The bad news is that Chinese automotive makers faced many painful losses in the early days when their entire strategy was to directly imitate Western brands. The most infamous case is the Landwind X7 versus the Range Rover Evoque. Jiangling Motors, the parent company of Landwind, looked at the stunning, segment-defining Evoque and thought, that looks easy. It produced the X7, a car so visually identical it was hard to tell the difference at a glance, but sold it for a fraction of the price. This was a direct and audacious challenge to the very concept of luxury automotive design. Jaguar Land Rover didn't take it lying down. It fought Jiangling in the Beijing courts for years. In 2019, JLR won an unprecedented victory. The court ruled the Landwind X7 had copied 5 key design features and ordered production to cease immediately. It was a landmark legal defeat that signaled the end of China's anything-goes copycat car culture. Then you have the sheer embarrassment of safety failures. In 2007, Brilliance tried to take its BS6 sedan to Europe. The plan was a massive market entry. The reality? A single crash test by the German car association ADAC netted the car a shocking 1 out of 5 stars. The verdict was brutal. Minimal chance of surviving a side collision. The BS probably stood for bullshit. The test wasn't just a failure. It torpedoed Brilliance's entire European strategy and became a defining image of why early Chinese cars were feared by consumers. Finally, the ridiculous audacity of the Geely GE. At the 2009 Shanghai Motor Show, Geely rolled out a concept that was a straight-up clone of the Rolls-Royce Phantom, the massive, imposing grille, the proportions. Everything screamed imitation. The international ridicule was so intense that Geely was forced to drastically redesign the concept, quietly retreating from its ultra-luxury challenge. Sometimes, the biggest loss is the loss of your reputation. But here's the crucial part. While we focus on the spectacular flops, the Chinese automotive sector has been aggressively innovating where Western brands are dragging their heels. They learned the lessons from those failures and stopped trying to copy. They started trying to leapfrog. Look at NIO. Its battery swap technology isn't just a gimmick. It's a genuine solution to range anxiety and charging bottlenecks. You pull into a swap station and 5 minutes later, you drive out with a fully charged battery pack. That's faster than filling a gas tank. And it completely sidesteps the headache of public charging infrastructure. They're not waiting for massive grid upgrades. They created an ingenious workaround. Western OEMs are only now, hesitantly, considering this model. Beyond EVs, China is dominating the integration of next-generation sensors and advanced driver assistance systems. Because it's building its new automotive ecosystem from the ground up, it's baking in advanced LiDAR, thermal imaging, and high-resolution cameras that often surpass the sensor suites found in even high-end European or American luxury vehicles. And let's not even get into suspension. Companies are rolling out cutting-edge active and semi-active suspension systems in mid-range vehicles that could maintain a champagne tower on the hood over a bumpy course. Such tech would typically be reserved for only the top-tier AMG or M Division trims in the West. This commitment to placing advanced engineering in mainstream models is how China is changing the global baseline for what a good car is supposed to feel like. So, what does all of this mean? It means the narrative you hold, the one where Western engineering is inherently superior and Chinese quality is inherently cheap, is dangerously obsolete. Yes, Sherry slid down a hill and Lanwin got sued out of existence. But while Detroit and Stuttgart were resting on decades of heritage and V8 engines, China was quietly solving the hardest problems in the EV and ADAS space. The question isn't whether Chinese cars can compete. The question is whether brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz and Ford can survive a future where their most advanced technology is being undercut by a new rival that innovated its way around the problem. You think a few safety features and a nice badge are going to be worth a $30,000 premium when the new kid in town has a better suspension, more sensors, and a battery you can swap in under 5 minutes? Think about that the next time you scoff at a brand you don't recognize. The Chinese auto industry isn't just catching up, it's building a whole new track. And most of the Western champions are still fumbling with their starting blocks. The era of guaranteed Western automotive superiority is already over.